You're good.
The Delaware Wrestling Alliance, in partnership with the National Wrestling Coaches Association, would like to welcome all coaches, wrestlers, Beast Committee members, volunteers, media, and fans to the 25th Annual Beast of the East Press Conference. 25 years. Wow. We'd like to thank this year's title sponsor, Dr. Michael Axe, in partnership with ATI. If we could give them a big round of applause right now. Stepping up this year for the 25th, we thank you. This year's Beast is going to be held right across the street at the University of Delaware at the Bob Carpenter Sports Center this coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's the 15th, 16th, and 17th. You can watch the whole thing on Track Wrestling. They'll stream everything from the college match on Friday night and every single match throughout the weekend. I'd like to recognize a few individuals right now. Our partner, the National Wrestling Coaches Association, we partnered with them last year, and we are thankful for that. And Mike Moyer, who's the director of the National Wrestling Coaches Association, he's away on business. So we have with us Jim Fallis, the deputy director of the National Wrestling Coaches Association. Let's give Jim a big round of applause. We're going to hear from Jim in a couple of minutes. Our friends at the University of Delaware, we couldn't do this without you. Our partnership with you since 2000, or before 2000, I think it was 1997 or 98 that we first came down to the Bob. So almost 20 years now that we've been at the Bob Carpenter Center. And we appreciate that. Chris Uwawak, who is the athletic director, is not able to be here. And Alicia Greco, who is one of our liaisons and facility partners there, was not able to be here. But we do have the infamous Dave Arthur, the facilities director, here tonight. So Dave, Dave has to put up with me year in and year out, and I'm glad he's still there. So we work well together, that is for sure. The 25th Beast. Who would have thought 25 years ago, when the first event was held at St. Mark's High School with only 11 teams, 143 wrestlers, that we would be here several days away from hosting the 25th anniversary, over 900 wrestlers with 130 teams. Just amazing. Vic Leonard had a vision. Vic, Ed, and John Brancaccio, I think they were sitting in Vic's basement one night, and they had this epiphany about some wrestling tournament they were going to start in order to get Delaware wrestlers recognized. Started out small, and look where we are today, the #1 tournament in the country. Look back in time, 25 years ago, as I said, there were only 11 teams, 143 wrestlers. It was held at St. Mark's High School, called the Mid-Atlantic Classic. Got changed to the Beast of the East in the year 2000. Rick Memorial was the first Beast champion. Carl Perry was the first NCAA champion that came through the Beast. It's a big name. Now, Carl's going to be here, I think, this weekend, right, Ben?
Correct.
Yeah. We have several NCAA champions that were Beast champions, NCAA champions that are going to be joining us this coming weekend. So we're thankful that they're going to be coming back. Only 2 teams have participated in all 25 Beasts. Blair Academy and Delaware's own Sussex Central High School. There's only been 2 4-time champions, Mark Gray and Nick Soriano. Believe it or not, there's only 8 3-time Beast champions. You think about that. In this tournament, 25 years, how many tough wrestlers have come through to think there's only 8 that have been 3-time Beast champions. Blair's won the title of unprecedented 21 times. One of the big success stories of the Beast of the East is the scholarships that the Delaware Wrestling Alliance gives out. To date, in the first 24 years, we've given out $874,000 in scholarships to Delaware wrestlers to go on to college. This Sunday, this is the key. Bob Shaw, you're going to enjoy this one. So the Sunday of the first event, so the Sunday of the first Beast, 25 years ago, my son Chris, who is now 30 years old, wrestled his first match at Penns Grove High School over the bridge. So that was the very first Beast weekend. I remember that day. My son got he was 5 years old, got a rude awakening to what wrestling was all about. I was going over there thinking, nice little wrestling. Okay, it's going to be a lot of fun. No. We went home and he had to make a tough decision. Either he was going to step up or get out. He stepped up and he went on to have a good young career under Bob, and then his high school career under Cameron Davis. This year we've added a Friday night event, and that's has a lot to do with our partner Jim Fallis and the National Wrestling Coaches Association. We have Ohio State and Princeton coming in on Friday night showcase. Ohio State right now is ranked #1 in the country. We have a couple preliminary matches. We have a women's match. You know, last year at this time we were talking with the University of Delaware about a feasibility study, them doing a feasibility study, trying to bring back wrestling to the University of Delaware. At the conclusion of that feasibility study, the door wasn't closed on wrestling, but there were some big parameters that the university put on if we were going to bring back wrestling. One of those parameters was they probably would not bring back wrestling if they didn't have a women's program. If they brought back wrestling, they'd have a men's program and a women's program. And Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think right now the women's wrestling in high school is one of the biggest growing sports of all sports in the nation. So it's headed east. It's not hard on the East Coast yet, but it's headed our way. So we're proud to be bringing in this college women's team to showcase and show the university what women's wrestling is all about. So we have a high school match. We have Middletown High School and Sussex Central coming up. They're going to wrestle. We were trying to put two other matches together. The junior duels didn't pan out, and University of Delaware just informed me today, unfortunately, that Towson backed out. And it's a tough week because it's finals week. And because of the finals and the structure of the finals at Towson, they were not able to, they originally committed, but they had to back out because of that. So, unfortunate, University is still looking for another opponent. So if anybody here knows of any club team that might want to wrestle them, they're available on Friday night. Ohio State and Princeton. So Ohio State will feature 4 Beast champions. Nathan Tomasello, and these 4 wrestlers, 3 of these wrestlers are NCAA champions. Nathan Tomasello, who was a Beast champ, NCAA champ. 2-time Beast champ Miles Martin was an NCAA champ. Then 3-time champion Kyle Snyder. And I think we all know Kyle Snyder's accolades. He's 3-time Beast champ, 2-time NCAA champ, 2-time world champ, and Olympic champion. Thank you. And then 2-time Beast champ Joey McKenna. Princeton features Matt Kolodzik, who was a Beast champ, and also the head coach from Princeton, Chris Ayers, was a Beast All-American. So there's a lot of Beast history coming this weekend on Friday night. We appreciate both of these teams, and thank you very much to the National Wrestling Coaches Association for helping us put this together. So on to the Beast. This year's event, we have 130 teams from 16 states and/or Canada. We have one kid coming from Canada. And I'm just going to read the names of the states that are coming because it's pretty mind-boggling. So we have Connecticut, DC, Delaware, obviously, Florida, Kentucky, New Jersey, New Hampshire. New York's coming back this year. We've worked hard to get New York back. We have one of the top teams from New York coming, the #1 kid in the country, Ja'Cory Teamer. Maine, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Ohio, South Carolina, Texas, Virginia, and the one gentleman from Canada coming down. Top teams, 4 of the top 10 teams are here, 6 of the top 15. So we have #1 Blair, #6 Burden Catholic, #7 Malvern Prep, #8 Lake Highland Prep, and Lake Highland Prep's the team coming out of Florida. And they #13 Bethlehem Catholic, #15 Brecksville. So 12 of the top 50 teams. 900 wrestlers fighting for a Beast Championship. This year, the field is again. I sit up here. I think I say the same thing every year. That the year I look at it and I look at the stats and I look at who's coming and I say this is the toughest Beast ever, and it's not the toughest Beast ever. Every single Beast is tough. We have 11 returning Beast champions. We have nine from last year, and then we have 2 that were Beast champions the year before. So we have Kirk McHenry, Mike Colaccio, and Mike was a 2-time Beast champion. We have Patrick Glory, who was a 2-time Beast champion. Malcolm Robinson, Julian Klebo, Sammy Sasso, Phil Canigliero, David Carr, Julia Ramirez, Chris Facco, and Mike Beard. 8 Beast runners-up. I mean, you think about that. So there's 11 Beast champions, 8 Beast runner-up. Where's the room for the rest of the 870-some wrestlers? 52 ranked wrestlers by Intermat. over 60 state champions and 45 state finalists. Again, it goes on and on. When I look at this, you know, Jody and I look at these for the past couple of weeks, and it just blows our mind. We have 7 of the top ranked kids in the country out of 14 weight classes. We have 5 ranked second in the nation. 2 of those weight classes, the 126-pound weight class and the 145-pound weight class, have the top 2 in that weight. Again, the weight classes are loaded. So I'm going to kind of run through some of these weight classes just to give you an idea of who's in it, who's returning, and who are some of the top kids. So, and I'll try to do it quick. The weight classes are loaded. So 106-pound weight class, there's 5 ranked wrestlers led by the #1 kid in the country, Jacob Decatur, out of CVCA. There's several sophomore ranked wrestlers, Ryan Miller, ranked 7th, Nick Kyle from Bergen Catholic, Justin Beardoffer, and these gentlemen, Nick and Justin placed at this beast last year. Ryan's a freshman, so he's new. And then a phenom from McDonough, Cooper Flynn, who won a Fargo championship this past summer. Let's not overlook Will Guida from St. Paul's. He's not ranked, but he wrestled behind Kurt McHenry last year, and I think at 106 he's going to make some noise this year. 113, 6 ranked wrestlers, led by #1 in the country, Beast champ and 2-time world champ Kurt McHenry. We just mentioned him. McHenry will be challenged by New Jersey state champ, #7 ranked Anthony Clark, who placed 3rd last year at the Beast. New England state champ Ryan Jack of Danbury. 2-time champion from Eastside, South Carolina, Jordy White. And there's some others in there. Master Ivani just won Ironman. You got Clark, Schweier, Alvarez, and Howe. So that's, again, a loaded weight class. Some of those kids aren't even ranked, and they're just top in the country. 120, 4 ranked wrestlers in the field, led by returning 2-time Beast champ Mike Galaccio from Blair. He's the #1 ranked wrestler in the country. Oh, no, I'm sorry, he's not. Robert Howard's the #1 ranked wrestler now. Bill Ford set me straight yesterday. So Robert Howard's the #1 ranked wrestler. Julian Tags ranked, Matt Lackman from Bethlehem Catholic, and Dylan Shore from Elyria. At 126, 5 top ranked wrestlers. Again, 2-time Beast champ, returning Beast champ Patrick Glory from Delbarton, ranked #1 in the country. We got Jacob Camacho, who's ranked #2 in the country from Danbury. Got last year's runner-up Gabe Tag from Brecksville. 132. Now I call this the Beast of the Beast. It's loaded. There's over 10 state champions entered in this weight class. There's 9 top ranked wrestlers. Some kids are ranked in different weights. They're moving their weights around, but right now there are 9 ranked wrestlers in this weight class. You have last year's Beast champion and 2-time PA state champion Julian Klefbove. You have the #1 ranked kid in the country from Lake Highland Prep, Joey Silva. You've got so you have 2 Beast champions in this coming back. You have Malcolm Robinson, who was a Beast champ from Blair. State champions and nationally ranked wrestlers. Quinn Kinner from New Jersey. Nick Ramo from Jersey. Jordan Decatur from Ohio. Connor McGonigal from Timberland up in New Hampshire. Then you have nationally ranked Andrew Word, who placed 3rd last year at the Beast and was 3rd also in PA States. And then you have Marshall Keller, who was a state champion in Virginia and placed 5th last year at the Beast. So again, if you want to talk about what might be the toughest weight class, 132 I think may be the toughest weight class. 138, returning will be Beast champion and national prep champion. And I guess Malcolm Robinson moved weight classes. I had him up above. He's now at 138, so he is 138. Returning Beast All-American, Joe Argano. Ryan Volka from Pope John II out of PA. They're a new team this year. We're glad to have them. At 148, 145, weight class will see the #1, #2 ranked kid in the country. So you got last year's PA state champ Sammy Sasso ranked #1 at 145, and the New York state champ Ja'Cory Teamer ranked #1 at 138. Again, Beast, that's going to be a killer match if they make it to the finals. So 152, the Beast champion, 3-time Ohio State champion, and #1 ranked wrestler in the country, David Carr. David's on a mission. Last year, he was Beast champion 2 years ago. Last year, he got upset in the semifinals, wasn't Beast champ, and I think he's torn everybody apart ever since. And I don't think there's anybody who's been close to him. So I think he's coming back with a mission. Gerald Angelo was a Beast runner-up last year and a state champ from Bergen Catholic. Will give him a run for his money, but let's go. I think my money's on David Carr. 160, this weight class will have returning Beast and national prep champion Phil Canigliaro from Belmont Hill. He'll be looking to defend his title against Jersey state champ and Beast runner-ups from a year ago, two of them, Shane Griffith from Bergen Catholic and Andrew Malaro from Blair. And those two individuals are ranked number 2 and 3 in the country. These will be challenged by Florida state champ and nationally ranked Eric Bilek of Lake Common Prep. So as Jody and I go through, and we have seating on Thursday night, and we were talking about it earlier, we're not quite sure how we're going to do this. I think the seating this year is going to be one of the toughest challenges we've ever had. So at 170, Beast champion Julian Ramirez will work to defend his title. He's got a couple of ranked and nationally ranked wrestlers and a couple of state champs. One from Ohio State, Emil Solomon from Elyria, and 2015 Beast champ Chris Falco from Bergen Catholic. 182 field, two-time national prep champ Ryan Caroli from PA, who was a runner-up last year in the Beast, is going up against PA state champ runner-up Josh Stillingson, who was a Beast All-American last year. Number 12 ranked in the country is Leonard Tortino from Blair, and then we have a couple from St. Paul's. They're not ranked, but these gentlemen are definitely going to make some noise. Is Jack Parr from St. Paul's and Jacob Cardenas from Bergen Catholic. Jacob is a state champ from Jersey. 195, returning Beast, two-time national prep champ, and number 2 ranked kid in the country, Michael Beard, leads this weight class. And we have Delaware's own Tony Wiest. It's going to improve upon his 3rd place finish from last year's Beast, from his All-American. Also noted are a couple Virginia State champs, Zach Brown from Eastern View and Chris Vasquez from Mountain View. And then there's a freshman from Blair who's a pretty tough kid, Peyton Kraft. 220, 4 nationally ranked wrestlers at 220. New Jersey State champ and returning Beast All-American Pete Arcadia from Don Bosco. And number 2 runner-up in Jersey, Josh McKenzie from Bergen Catholic. Florida State champ, number 12 in the country, Ben Golden. A pair of national ranked wrestlers in Owen Terrafin from Blair, and state runner-up Ian Edenfield from PA. He was a PA runner-up. So that's, again, every weight class here, I don't know that there's one that's easy. 285, we have the number 14 ranked kid in the country, Gerald Brown, who was returning, and then we have returning Beast All-American, Zach Deanna, PJ Mustuffer, and a Florida State runner-up, Curtis Ruff. And again, plus a couple of Virginia State champs, Trevor Burns from Grassfield and Brook Point. Again, every weight class is tough. Our seating's we're gonna have a tough job to do. Looking at some of the Delaware wrestlers who will make some noise. We have 11 state champs that are going to be at the Beast. Now, these all weren't 11 state champs last year. Some were state champs 2 years ago. So that just tells you how tough Delaware has gotten. Zach Spence from Sally's, Robbie Rosser from Milford, Nick Nardicola from Smyrna, Anthony Caruso from Cape Henlopen, Rashad Stratton from Sussex Central, Jackson Dean from Cesar Rodney, Cameron Hayes from Cesar Rodney, Greg Baum from Smyrna, Lauren Wilson from Smyrna, Andrew Brooks from Sanford, and then, again, we talked about Tony Wiest. Placed 3rd at the Beast last year, and I think he's on a mission this year, too. So I think Delaware's going to make some noise out there. So that's it with the wrestler wrap-up. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to have a tough job, but I think there's going to be some great wrestling. And if you want to see the best wrestling at the Beast, you want to be here at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, which is the semifinals. Because the wrestlers in the semifinals, and Dr. X will actually tell you this, the wrestlers in the semifinals are there to win. And when you get to the finals, you want to win, but they're more cautious, whereas they let it all loose in those semifinals. So 11 o'clock on Sunday morning is, you want to be at the Bob Carpenter Center. A few minutes ago, we introduced Jim Fallis, recognized Jim from the National Wrestling Coaches Association, who partnered with us over a year ago. And so it was about a year and a half ago when we met with Mike Moyer from the National Wrestling Coaches Association, and that's when the big plan of the Ohio State and Princeton match, didn't know it was Princeton, but the Ohio State match came up. And we're sitting there and he threw it out on the table that, wouldn't that be cool for the 25th anniversary we get Ohio State? And I said, yeah, that would be nice. I kind of didn't believe it, shook it off, and he kept it going, he kept it going, he kept it going. And so this year, towards the September time frame, Ohio State was on the hook. All National Wrestling Coaches Association had to do was find a partner. So the schedules come out, and I see the schedules, and Ohio State's schedule comes out, and we're not on it. It's, you know, they're not wrestling at the Bob Carpenter Center. So I actually happened to be, it was about a week later, and Mike Moyer called me, and he told me that they're on the hook. They're going to wrestle Princeton. I got to call both coaches. So well, that was on a Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I call both coaches, get them what I need to do. So Saturday morning, I'm sitting at the gym. I'm at the gym on the treadmill, and I get a text from Cameron Davis saying, hey, I want tickets for the Beast for Friday night. I'm like, wait a minute, there's only 4 people who know this. So if that was on, and he said it was on the Jersey website, so I knew at that point that I went on Princeton's website. Ohio State Princeton's on theirs. I went on Ohio State's, it's on theirs. So it's a done deal. Now we got our work to do. But it was a year and a half in the making, and National Wrestling Coaches Association, we appreciate that. I just want to read you the National Wrestling Coaches Association mission statement, because not only have they partnered with us, they partnered with every state. Theoretically, they partner with every state in order to help develop coaches. And the DIAA, I know Buddy Lloyd, who's chairman of our committee, has taken advantage of what National Wrestling Coaches has to offer. But I don't think coaches enough throughout the country at all levels take advantages to what they have to offer. So I just want to read this real quick. So it says, the National Wrestling Coaches Association brings the wrestling coaching community together to advance the sport and ensure that current and future generations have the opportunity to engage in a safe and educationally based wrestling experience. This is primarily done by strengthening existing programs, creating new programs, and providing coaches with progressive educational opportunities. Again, coaches out there, if you don't take advantage of what they have to offer, I think more states need to take advantage of what they have to offer. They're out there trying to promote the sport, educate, and teach us as coaches. At this time, I'd like to introduce Jim Faust, Deputy Director of National Wrestling Coaches Association. As I mentioned previously, well, I didn't mention it previously, but I will mention it now. Jim was the former athletic director of University of Northern Arizona and Northern Colorado. Did I got that right? So if you can just help me welcome Jim Faust, and come up and say a few words. You got it.
Well, it's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Those of you that know Mike, he's going 100 miles an hour. He's a walking encyclopedia. He's very good at turning a 5-minute speech into 20 minutes. And so I'm sorry that I'm going to be disappointing you here tonight about that. But on behalf of Mike, our executive director, our president, Tom Ryan, who happens to be the head coach at the Ohio State University, and our board of directors, we want to thank the Delaware Wrestling Alliance for the opportunity to partner on this prestigious event. I also want to thank Steve and Tom for inviting me here to the press conference. This is great. Great to meet some of you here. First time here, so I'm a rookie at all this. But since 1928, the NWCA has been a voice for the coaches that work so hard to develop the young people they coach through the sport of wrestling. While the sport of wrestling has had many challenges at the collegiate level since the 1980s, we've seen many exciting accomplishments. Since 2000, we've established over 180 new college programs throughout the country. Since 2004, women's wrestling has made its first appearance at the Olympics, on the Olympic stage. We've grown to over 40 women's wrestling programs. This year, for the first time in the 53-year history of the NWCA All-Star match, we sponsored a women's All-Star meet with wrestlers from over 14 institutions competing in historic Jadwin Gymnasium up at Princeton in front of 3,500 fans, the largest crowd to witness a women's collegiate wrestling event. It's great that this week you are also going to be hosting Campbellville and Cumberland in a women's dual meet. Fantastic. And it's probably fitting and no small coincidence, as Steve has mentioned, that Ohio State and Princeton are going to be wrestling here on Friday night. Last week was really a historic time for collegiate wrestling. We were pleased to be part of an announcement from Presbyterian College in South Carolina. For the first time in the history of the university, is starting Division I women's wrestling program, and they're also starting a new Division I men's wrestling program. There's hope for the state of Delaware. We won't pick on any particular school, but there's hope, Dave. So, women's wrestling is applied to the NCAA for emerging sports status. That status will allow the sport to be recognized for numerous benefits associated with being an NCAA institution in sport. In our ongoing effort to develop our coaches and to better prepare them more effectively to administer their programs, the NWCA has established a CEO Leadership Academy for high school coaches. And we're proud to say that Delaware was one of the first 9 states this past fall to host such an academy. Finally, we want to congratulate the Delaware Wrestling Alliance for their success in awarding over $874,000 in scholarships to deserving high school wrestlers here in the state of Delaware. And while there are only 5 states, 3 on the mainland, that do not offer their high school students any post-high school college wrestling opportunity, and while all the wrestlers from the great state of Delaware, boys and girls, must leave this state in order to continue their collegiate experience, we want you to know that the NWCA will not rest and will continue all our efforts to remove Delaware from that list that they join with Mississippi and Nevada. With the continuing efforts of the DWA, I know it's only a matter of time when we can all enjoy the day when boys and girls from across Delaware will be able to earn their degrees in the state while following their dream of wrestling at the collegiate level. Thank you all for inviting us, allowing us to be a part of this great event, and I'm looking forward to the weekend. And that's my 20-minute version of Mike's speech.
All right, just want to make sure that everybody knows we are on social media. So Twitter, if you're on Twitter, hit it up at Beast Wrestling 7. And if we're on Facebook, so if you haven't liked us, please like our Facebook page. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be on Trackcast this weekend, live streaming all Friday night, and all Saturday and Sunday, every single match will be live streamed. We can't do this without our volunteers, but we'll get to our volunteers in a minute. We can't do it without our sponsors. This year's title sponsor, as I mentioned, is Dr. Michael Axe from First Aid Orthopedics and ATI. And let me, I mentioned ATI earlier, but she's here tonight, so let me just mention, let's have a round of applause for Leslie Stevenson. Leslie has committed herself to the wonderful task of being there all Friday, all Saturday, and all Sunday this year. So welcome to the Beast. It's a beast of a weekend, that is for sure. Dr. Axe, what can I say about him? He's a longtime friend to Delaware wrestling, and actually to all sports in Delaware, not just wrestling. He takes care of all sports here in Delaware. He's been with us at the Beast for all 25 years. There's only 4 people who have been committed to the Beast 100% for all 25 years. Dr. Axe is one of them. Vic Leonard, who's here tonight, is another. Let's give a big round of applause. And Javier, he's working tonight, so, but he'll be there sometime over the weekend. He'll make his cameo appearance. And then Ann Vittori, who takes care of our ticket sales. So there are the 4 individuals that have been there. A lot of the individuals here have been there for maybe 24 or so, but all 25, only 4 individuals. So Dr. Axe has been with us for all 25 years. He will be here Saturday morning. Well, actually, it'll be Friday night, too. Friday night this year, and then come back Saturday morning bright and early. He'll be here until the lights go down. I think every time I've looked over in the corner, Dr. Axe is there. Sunday, he's there all day. We give him a seat right up front for the finals, and he's a happy camper. And he doesn't move from there. His team does everything from there. He's focused on the finals. That's his glory for being here for the weekend. So Dr. Axe, we thank you for your commitment to our sport, but especially your commitment to the Beast of the East and the Delaware Wrestling Alliance. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Axe.
Listen, it's great to be here, and it's great to begin the week. 2 things. Number 1, this is Sylvester Mushrooms event. they had a misfortune in that they had a fire and they were unable to support the event like they have in the past. And we're just the stopper. Now, as I say about First Aid Orthopedics, we're there when you need us. This was one of those times that you needed us. Youth in Sports is a proud presenter of the Beast of the East, and I just did a drive time 30 seconds for the Beast earlier this afternoon. So in an effort to make people aware that the Delaware event's going to happen, and Ohio State and Princeton are going to be here in addition to the Beast of the East. So if there's a way we can be helpful, we will. Now, I have a great staff, and as I'll be announcing to the coaches, we use this opportunity for medical staffs to get experience. So if physicians want to come and learn how to run a meet, we invite them. Our residents in physical therapy come, and this is actually their midterm or their final, depending on where they are, on how they can handle these events. And then we have athletic trainers and we have primary care physicians doing residents. All will be here in an effort for them to have a better understanding of wrestling, because one of the problems that we have with people covering events is the fear factor. So we've actually collected all the injuries, we put it in a publication on how to actually decision making and running a meet, and we had a meeting with my medical staff yesterday just to get them ready. There's a lot of things that come up. So one of the most unusual things that we've been asked to do is someone caught a fish hook in their hand that they put their arm into a coat and asked, can we take care of removing the fish hook? And I have to admit, I was not prepared for that. But most of the things we are prepared for. We have suturing available on site, and all this stuff's no charge, and we provide all the equipment. Some of it's been donated by patients who have had this in the past. Some of it's new. The other things, we are there. We have all the GI and sinus and all the things that can happen to coaches and mostly officials. We have staple guns and staple removers and things that, as I have a box of things that are seldom used but once asked for, that we'll have available as well. So my staff will be prepared. I tell them that we're the welcome wagon. For the most part, we're there to make sure everybody has a good experience, and I think that most are amazed at how they're treated medically, and also, to my knowledge, we've never had anyone who has taken a communicable disease from here to somewhere else. That said, if we have to, I'll disqualify between 2 and 4 people for skin for this weekend. And what we do in the event I have to disqualify and they've come a long way, we'll actually begin the treatment, sign the skin form so that they can wrestle next week. So they won't have to wait till they get home on Monday to see a doctor and then start the clock. That's the best I can do. If someone has to be medically disqualified, we take them aside, explain to them and the coaches why. And many of them bring a physician. If the physician and I have yet to have a disagreement with one of the traveling physicians, but if they did, the 2 of us will go into a behind doors type of thing and decide what's best for the athlete. And for the most part, that's never been a problem. So we're going to be there. We're going to be ready. My son Jeremy is back with us. Joe Straight's 8. Jeremy's in his 3rd. And we'll have 5 other physicians, so we'll have a minimum of 8 physicians. We have 2 for the house. The 2 primary care physicians, they're in charge of the crowd, because they're the low person on the totem pole. Heart attacks and the like, but we have that available. We have the EMT. The hospitals have already been alerted. The urgent care center across the street is ready to go for x-rays. So I know things are going to come up that it gets a little hairy, usually about 8 o'clock on Saturdays when everything happens. But we're ready. Okay, so we're glad to be here helping out Sylvester Mushroom for this event.
Leslie, you have your speech ready?
Yeah.
I guess that's enough. Thank you, Dr. Axe. We appreciate you. So let me just run through, and as Dr. Axe said, Youth in Sports is another sponsor. I'm just going to run through some of the other sponsors. We already talked about ATI's, a co-title sponsor with Dr. Axe. We have Dr. Straight, Dr. Jeremy Axe, TheraWorks, Brady One Graphics, Jim A. Jewelers, Marketing Special Promotions, Tyrant Sports Gear, Easy Mats, Senator Nicole Poore, our friend from the legislation, Milwaukee Tools, Tanita Scales, Track Wrestling, the Marine Corps, Cirilla Brothers, Baronessy, Karate Brothers. Again, we can't do it without all these sponsors. There are more ancillary sponsors that you'll see in the program this weekend, so please make sure you get your program this weekend. Support the sponsors that we have in there. They support us. This year we also have back Kenny Berger, who will be handling our announcing duties. Mentioned it earlier, the Beast, outside of getting our Delaware wrestlers recognized, One of the big things from the Beast is the scholarships. As I mentioned earlier, we've given out $874,000 in 24 years. So we can't wait to hit that 1 million mark. Probably might not be next year, but definitely the year after. Anybody who's interested in tickets can get them on our Beast website. So you go to www.beastwrestling.com/tickets and follow the, you'll call inventory or email inventory. She'll have all your tickets. She'll have them ready for you this weekend at will call. Or you come down this weekend and get them at the door. So we can't do it with all our volunteers. Throughout the weekend, we'll probably have over 200 volunteers in and out throughout the whole weekend. But throughout the year, this tournament starts, and I have to put a shout out to Jody Wilson, my right-hand man. If Jody, I don't know what I'd do without you, that is for sure. Well, I probably wouldn't be running this tournament, I know that. So that's how important you are to me and to the tournament. January 15th, believe it or not, January 15th, we put on the website applications for next year. So we get a 3-week break, and that's it. January 15th, Jody starts getting these applications, start feeding them to me. We start tracking all the applicants. April 1st, we get all the applicants that we have up to April 1st, and then our Beast Selection Committee meets 1st of April. Maybe we might have to meet a couple times in April, but by the end of April, it's our goal to solidify who our team is for next year. It never changes, it never stops there. There's teams that once we put it on the website, there's teams that consistently over the summer and up until, for instance, this week, I can't tell you how many teams. We probably allowed this week more teams to enter in one wrestler this past week than we ever have in the past, only because they were calling us, and the kids are talented individuals, so we want them here at the Beast. So it doesn't ever stop. But outside of that commitment there, all year long, there's a host of individuals, and I want to read those individuals now, and if I forget anybody, and I got to give a shout out to my Calvin Hudson Productions here. So Jody will have this on the website tonight. So go and support Calvin Hudson Productions. I appreciate it. What's this? 3 years? 3 years in running. So now you're stuck. You're stuck with us. So run down the volunteers. Donna Silvestri, as Dr. Axe mentioned, she's been our title sponsor. She's a key. She's our executive director of the Delaware Wrestling Alliance. Bob Shaw, Tom Basso, Jody Wilson, Ann Vittori, Ron Eby, Vic Leonard, Ed Gambier, Tom Abbott, Joe Arcangelo, John Groom, Lauren Peterson, Bill Poor, Christina Wallace, Andy Gillen, Dan Zier, Buddy Lloyd, Clay Lloyd, Keith Mumford, Shelby Hanlon, Ken Carell, Joe Silvestri, John Wooders, and the crew from the Air Force from Dover Air Force Base. We get about 5 or 6 of the airmen come up every year and support us all weekend and do ancillary things, probably up in the hospitality room. Then the University of Delaware Wrestling Club team comes over all weekend and gives us their support Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the thing about the University Wrestling Club team, which is unique, is they have no coach, they have no support, very limited support from the university. They have a facility to practice in. But the kids organize themselves. So they're learning life skills by organizing this group that they have. And it's pretty unique to watch year in and year out them succeed with their goals of getting their matches, going to nationals. So they're here with us all weekend. So at that's pretty much it in closing. And if anybody has any questions, I'll take a question or two.
We had 4 from Delaware Place last year, correct?
We had 2 from Delaware Place last year.
We
Joe
think-
Miller and
3.
3?
Yeah, we got a heavyweight from AI, please, last year as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Jones. So we had 3 places.
So what do you think this year? 6, 7, 8?
Yes. There you go. Kenny Carell says yes.
Putting it on them. You hit that bottom
I
back.
think we have one of the strongest Delaware teams
We got some
going into
talent.
the Beast this year. So I think they got to step their game up, and I think if they do, they can be on the podium. So, and I tell you, I think we could have a Beast champion this year. He's sitting right here in this room, Tony Weist. So, any other questions? Jody, I knew you'd have to have one.
Yeah, 25th year, what's the most memorable moment you can remember, Steve?
For me,
Yes.
this coming Sunday night. Haven't gotten there yet, right? The most memorable, I tell you, probably the giving the award to, first of all, the match of Mark Gray and Randy Cruz, because that seeding that year was pretty difficult. Well, it really wasn't. It wasn't. Mark Gray was coming off a loss at Ironman to Randy Cruz, so they're both coming here, and they're both either going to be 1 and 2. Who goes 1? You know, Mark Gray just got beat, but Mark Gray's a 3-time beach champion. Well, that won out, so Mark Gray was the #1 seed. Some people questioned us on that. Randy Cruz was the #2. Well, they met in the finals. So who's, you know, now here we're on the verge of our first 4-time beach champion, and we had a trophy about this tall in the back room for Mark Gray with his name on it, in hopes that if he won it, we had it available for him. And during the match, Mark Gray hurt his ankle. So you didn't know how it was going to turn out, but he gutted it out, and I think the final score might have been 4-3 or 4-2. I mean, it was a very close match, and Mark Gray came out on the winning end, and he was our first 4-time beach champ. So for me, and the memorable moment of that was bringing that trophy out, keeping him up on the podium with his ankle wrapped in ice, and handing him that trophy. That was pretty cool. So. Anybody else? All righty, with that, we'll wrap it up, and we'll see everybody this weekend. Thank you very much.